Hi, everyone. This is Ellen from the Astrology Journal. I wanted to take a look at the new moon chart for January 11th, Thursday, January 11th. We'll have a new moon in Capricorn on that day, so the sun and the moon together in Capricorn. And they'll both be squaring the nodes, so squaring both the north node and the south node. And the nodes are the evolutionary trajectory in the chart. They're always exactly opposite each other. The south node represents our evolutionary past, what we know, what we're comfortable with. We come in, it's sort of like our go-to place. It's where we're solid, where we know what things are. The north node is like the stretch goal. See, it's what we don't know yet. It's what we're evolving towards. It's the growth we want to move towards in this lifetime. We don't want to, in my view, the nodes, it's not about leaving the south node behind and going to the north node. It's about using that foundation of the south node to help us evolve further along the way. And the trick with the nodes is, are we trying to just jump into the north node without actually, before we're really ready to get there? Or are we avoiding going towards the north node? And again, for me, the ideal is that south node is a foundation. We don't want to get stuck there, but we don't want to leave it behind either. We want to use that as a foundation that helps us go forward. Just like in development, we start as a baby, we develop through different stages. We don't leave the baby behind. So, really the baby, if we think just physically, it did all that work to get us to be able to, to crawl and do all the things that it did so that we can walk. We're not leaving the baby behind. We're using the foundation that it gave us to continue to evolve, to stand and to do whatever else we do. So each foundation along the way supports us as we continue to evolve. That's the way that I see it. So anyway, the fact that the nodes are involved, it suggests that there's like an evolutionary. I'm going to use this word, but I don't mean it in a negative way. It's like there's an evolutionary challenge for us, up for us. And by challenge, again, if we go back to development, there are periods in our developmental cycle where we face challenges, but they're challenges we are developmentally ready for and want to engage with. So a challenge does not have to be a negative thing, in my view. So we are being asked to evolve. And Capricorn, there's a lot of different ways you can think about Capricorn, but I like to think of it as about being mastery of our inner selves. We go out into the world to face all these situations, but we're doing that as we meet these things, we get to learn to master ourselves. So Capricorn is the third earth sign. The first earth sign is Taurus. That's where we find the raw materials and resources, and we establish ourselves in those so that we have a good solid foundation. We also find our gifts and talents there. And then in Virgo, we learn skills, with regard to our gifts and talents, or we learn how to refine whatever the raw materials are, make them into some things that are useful for us, or just our gifts and talents. If we're a piano player or whatever, we learn the skill of that. And then we take that into Capricorn, into the world. And then now that we have those practices established, ideally we have those practices established, we can now take those into the world, and we rely on those practices. Ideally, we're relying on those practices to help us through whatever challenges come up. We may have to refine them too along the way, but that's the idea. So we don't achieve mastery in Virgo. We just achieve the skills and the learning and the practices that allow us to then move into the world and meet those challenges now that we have what we need. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, that's the way that I think about it. So I think that this is saying that there's a challenge for us. We're being asked to master ourselves, to move into the world, we're in the world, and it's about mastering ourselves. So what's interesting about this pattern is Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in Pisces, and Saturn is in a relationship with the South Node. It's in a sesquiquadrate relationship, and that sesquiquadrate is Virgoan, in my view, Virgoan in nature. If you count along the natural zodiac from the 0 point or 0 Aries, which is the start of the zodiac, and you count 135 degrees, which is what the sesquiquadrate is, you get to 15 degrees of Leo. And that starts the gibbous phase. If you put the phases around the wheel, that starts the gibbous phase. And that gibbous phase is about skill development and practice. It's really about learning the the practices that allow us to sustain our light and allow us to continue to move forward in our path in health and vitality, by learning the art and the skill and the gift of maintaining our bodies so that our light can also be sustained and maintained. And then also, of course, about learning the gifts and talents and learning the skills of whatever craft, whatever is our craft or talent or whatever, learning that. So Saturn in a sesquiquadrate relationship with the South Node, to me, and Saturn, before I go further, Saturn is in Pisces. So Capricorn is also about the past. And in Saturn, being in Pisces, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac on the natural wheel. And in Pisces, we're letting go of the past. We're learning to forgive. We're learning to let go. We're learning to dream the new. Saturn at the beginning of Pisces, it feels like that's more about learning to let go. And what are we letting go of? Well, Saturn, ruler of Capricorn, is about the past. We're letting go of past patterns, Capricorn, Saturn patterns, in my view, that aren't serving us anymore. That sesquiquadrate, that Virgoan energy is kind of like about serving. So the things that are holding us back, the things that are weighing us down, the things that aren't helpful for us anymore, we're being asked to, I believe, we're being asked to let those go. And I think this is part of the energy that's happening. And if we can just show up and allow it, I think that's kind of what's being asked of us right now. That's the challenge. Can we let go of things that no longer are useful, Capricorn useful, and that no longer serve us, that Virgoan gibbous energy serve? And Pisces is the divine. And what we're doing in Virgo, another way we can think about Virgo is we can think about it as we're creating the container through which the divine or source can flow. So can we let go of anything that's hindering that flow of the divine through us, of the source, or whatever that word is, our energy, our vitality, whatever that is? Can we let go of what's hindering that, what's blocking that, what's preventing that channel, that flow from going through us? So that's the main thing I see in the chart. Like, and the interesting thing about this chart, so there's this kind of evolutionary challenge. And this new moon goes through the next new moon, which is February 9th. And during this period, we'll have Pluto entering Aquarius. That happens on the 20th. And then we'll have Uranus stationing direct, and that happens on the 27th. Those are really two really big events. So they will be assisting us. They will be helping us in this process. I would argue that if the new moon, if the lunation cycle, the beginning of the lunation cycle is saying this is about an evolutionary challenge to let go of what no longer serves us, then anything that happens within this cycle should help us to do that, should help us in that work of doing that. So, but Pluto in itself, Pluto rules Scorpio, and Pluto in evolutionary astrology is considered the soul. And so that also is about evolution. The soul, by definition, is about evolving and evolution. The South Node is like the past experiences of the soul, and this is an evolutionary astrology perspective. And the North Node are like the future, where the soul is evolving to. So when we talk about evolution, if we're talking from an evolutionary astrology perspective, we're talking about the development of the soul. So the other interesting thing about this chart, I didn't highlight it very well, but there are these two kind of purplish lines. They form a V pattern in the chart, and they're pointing at Uranus. So Uranus is down in Taurus at 19 degrees of Taurus. And one of these purple lines goes up to the South Node, and the other one goes up to Venus here in Sagittarius. And this, we could make a case that Venus and the South Node are also in relationship to each other in a sextile relationship. And that would make this a yod pattern. And so that's also that's pointing a finger at Uranus. It's like, and Uranus is in Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is up here. It's the other leg of this yod pattern. And Uranus in Taurus is about, especially the second part of Taurus, I believe is about, we're really just establishing our individuated identity and becoming clear. We're awakening to that, becoming clear about that. And so it's being helped by Venus in Sagittarius. And so can we feel into the stories that are true for us? Can we feel into the, what's true for us? Can we tell the difference between truth and lies? Taurus and Venus are about our feeling nature, our senses. Can we feel into that? And that is part of the work. The more we know who we are as individuated beings, the more we can feel into what's true for us, the more we can let go of what's no longer, what isn't true for us, and therefore what's been hindering us, what's not serving us. So this this yod pattern, technically, I didn't think it was a complete yod pattern yet, but as we go through the week, so this week, this is Mercury enters Capricorn. We have this yod pattern now. In my view, it's there. And we still have now we have a T-square here with just the sun. And then if we go here to the crescent moon, once again, we have that T-square with the sun. The moon has continued on its way, and we still have that yod pattern. So I just feel like that's kind of, for me, that's the main message. It's not really anything different than I've been seeing in these charts for quite some time. It's really, the work is getting to know ourselves, learning which stories are true for us and which not. And how do we know that? We know by how they feel. Do we feel better or worse when we tell them? And when I say better, I don't mean addictive better. I mean deep in our beings, do we feel better? Do we feel nourished? Do we feel, strengthened? That sort of thing. And so that to me has been the story for some time, and it continues. And it's a process, right? It takes time. I know for me, I'm still learning how to get in touch with myself, still learning what's true and what's not true and all that. So it's an ongoing process, and we're being assisted, in my view. The energies are assisting us in doing more of that work and letting go of what's just not helpful for us anymore. So anyway, I think that's all I'm going to say for this chart, and I will leave it there. Okay, that's all. Take care. Bye.